Oh, hey, good morning. It's morning on the prairies. That's my time zone, so that's what I'm saying. You're watching Rebel Roundup, our daily news and opinion show. I'm your regular host, Sheila Gunn, and I'm joined by my Tuesday, Wednesday co-host, my real life best friend from Regina, Saskatchewan, Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Well, hello, my Sheila Gunn Reid, and hello, Canada. It's so good to be here. Feel like we have a little bit of a hangover from our show yesterday. Like I
Right.
actually needed to recover
We had
after
to
our
have like a decompressing session of a 45-minute phone call afterwards.
debrief. We actually
Yes.
had to have a debrief. Like, what is actually going on here? But it is so good to be able to work in this media space where we're allowed to ask questions, where we're encouraged to ask questions, and where we chase after the truth and answers for the people of Canada. It's just such a pleasure to be able to do that. Today, we're going to be asking a whole bunch of questions about some worthy newsmakers in the world. So
Yeah. And I'm proud to say that we are scared of nobody. There are no golden calves. We are critical of everybody when they have it coming. Just ask Jason Kenney. I should tell everybody what we're doing around here because we've got a ton of things to talk about, and I think you're going to want to talk about them with us. So if you are watching us on Rumble, thank you so much for supporting a great free speech platform. If you want to support the work that we do completely willingly out of the goodness of your heart because you care about Rebel News and uh, helping us in our mission, you can leave a Rumble rant over on Rumble. That's our paid chat. And I think it's a great way to democratize the show and allow you to have your say. So if your Rumble rant is over the $5 US cutoff, we are obligating ourselves to read it on air. If it's under that, we'll do our very best to get to it. And regular viewers of the show know that unless somebody needs the studio right after us, we always get to them. If you are on YouTube, where we remain miraculously remonetized over there, the same rules apply. Their paid chat is called a super chat. And if you are watching the recorded version of the show, but you want to support the work that we do and have your say, there's another way. You can leave a paid comment. That's called a super thanks. And we just appreciate you so much for choosing us. We know there are a lot of other media outlets in the conservative sphere that you could support, and we really appreciate that you are choosing us because, you've got less money than ever before in your pocket thanks to Mark Carney and the Liberals' decade of darkness upon our economy. So thank you so much for doing that. Let's get into some of the news of the day. Now, after being reliably informed by the idiotic prime minister before Mark Carney, who I guess was a vessel for Mark Carney's bad ideas anyway, that there was no economic and financial case for Canadian LNG being exported to the world. All of a sudden, Carney is saying that
actually,
they're just
maybe there is.
Mark Carney is in Germany. Let's start there. Not sure why. We've got some problems at home that he might want to address, but he says he's currently there. Canada's close friendship with Germany is built upon our shared values of peace, democracy, and sustainability. Always shoehorning the sustainability nonsense in there.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, always. I don't think that that's a shared value. I actually don't think most Canadians actually think about sustainability at any
As
given
a
point, ever.
or as a value ever. Or as a
Yes.
value ever. This
No.
is not something that we consider virtuous.
Yeah, like I think we think about affordability more than sustainability. And
Energy
it's
accessibility,
yeah,
energy affordability and accessibility. That's what we think about. But
and
sustainable pipe dreams? No thanks.
upheld by our work together in trade, defense, and energy. Uh, Bunde Bundeskanzler and I are bringing our nations ever closer towards more security and prosperity. I actually feel neither of those things. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And that we are forging relationships with Germany on security and the future of the nations. It's like, okay, well, I guess you need something to say for your European vacation. I mean, I guess he could just show up and just be like, I actually just wanted a summer holiday. So then instead of saying
Be
that,
honest.
he just sort of puts out these word salad announcements. And I mean, nothing shows a politician's sort of laziness, like pointless social media posts that don't really say anything.
Yeah. So he's meeting with Federal Chancellor Merz in Germany, and this is all part of his so they left me out of the NATO summit tour tour of
And now
Europe.
and now I have to make up for lost dollars because I told the entire nation of Canada that
Pardon
I
me,
was
my
gonna.
cat is on the
Oh,
desk.
oh,
Hi, Trigger. Bye,
hi,
Trigger.
Trigger, you
Oh,
bad little kitty.
he's so bad.
Bad orange kitty. He's a bad orange. Oh, no, where were we? No, we were talking about Mark Carney in
Yep.
in Germany, and he has to make up for the bags of money that he told Canada that we were going to be earning, under his stewardship, under his leadership. And it turns out that being mean to the Americans and being antagonistic to our closest trading partner hasn't had the rewards that the Liberals said that it would, that they were
Right.
convinced that it would. They were just going to go to Europe, listen, and replace every single trade agreement that we had with the United States with European money. We were going to become a de facto European nation. And it looks like that's what he's still trying to position us as, but without actually delivering trade agreements, without actually delivering anything to the people of Canada. Um, what a fail. Like, what
Yep.
an embarrassing fail.
Yeah. We've got a video of a German reporter doing the work the Canadian journalists refuse to do. And that is ask a tough question to Mark Carney about, like, hey, you came here to talk to the German government about, oh, this is what we can do in terms of
Yeah.
offsetting Gazprom Russian gas that Germany has to rely on because we decided there was no business case to sell the world
Right.
liquefied natural gas. A German reporter actually asked Carney, well, that's talking about this stuff is all well and good, but you don't have the infrastructure to export any of this energy. Let's watch this. And can you just put it full screen, Carney? My cat jumped into a tall laundry basket and can't get out now because he's bad. So I'm just going to go fix that.
Prime Minister, just one question about raw materials. Could you please explore a bit more what Canada can realistically actually offer to Germany and Europe, given the fact that ports on the East Coast and also pipelines are still lacking?
Okay, you're welcome to take the second part of my question if you wish. Thanks for the question. Look, there's a huge range of immediate opportunities with respect to critical metals and minerals, and there are medium-term opportunities with respect to all forms of energy, including LNG and hydrogen. And I'll quickly explain how we make those happen. Our government is in the process of unleashing $500 billion of investment in energy infrastructure, port infrastructure, particularly intelligence infrastructure as well, with AI. And a number of those investments, the first of which we will be formally announcing in the next 2 weeks, are with respect to new port infrastructure. And some of the examples in the public domain will include from reinforcing and building on the Port of Montreal, Contrecoeur, a new port effectively in Churchill, Manitoba, which would open up enormous LNG plus other opportunities, and other East Coast ports for those critical metals and minerals. So there is a lot happening. It's the number one focus of this government is to build that infrastructure, and particularly infrastructure that helps us deepen our partnership with our European partners, and particularly Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you believe that just real recently, Brookfield, Brookfield announced let's see, is building a 20 megawatt electrolyzer to produce zero emission hydrogen for injection into local gas grids.
Every
It's
damn
gonna
time.
it found $1.1 billion to put into green hydrogen-based e-fuels. This was announced on September 11th, 2024, which was when Mark Carney was still at the helm of Brookfield. And as you know what, every single story we have to look at, or that we do look at, excuse me, we have to consider how Brookfield is involved. When Mark Carney's mouth is flapping, he's actually talking about Brookfield like every single time. So even though he skirts around the German journalists' really excellent question about the realistic possibility of getting LNG to Germany, considering our pipeline and access issues in Canada, Mark Carney just pivots off into something that Brookfield is involved in again.
Right. Well, and again, like, okay, you can talk about building ports, but C5 has veto capabilities for provinces that don't want them. So if you
Right.
said to Wab Canoe, who sometimes is reasonable, but by and large is still an NDP premier, if you said to him, okay,
Yes.
we're building a massive LNG export port in Churchill,
Mhm.
he could potentially say no, or the indigenous groups there could potentially say no. And then
Yeah.
what? And
Yeah.
then what? And by the way, you think you're just gonna, and then we're gonna have a port? This is like a decades-long production. In the meantime, the Americans who did build these facilities are like, actually, you can buy this from us tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, that could happen. I could see Wab Canoe saying yes, but involving so much indigenous consultation that the project goes nowhere. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I could see that level of operation from Wab Canoe. But no, it's I mean, the God bless that German journalist for asking that question and
Yeah.
putting that on the shoulders of Mark Carney. But the way that Brookfield Renewable Partners in his answers, the way that Brookfield Renewable Partners is involved in hydrogen is just, I mean, 8 million waste from sun. Like, honest to God, I'm just scrolling through. I just Googled Brookfield plus hydrogen, and the results are astounding. There are more
Every time.
companies that have gotten more billions of dollars. Masdar to acquire Saeta from Brookfield. So they're selling and buying renewable companies to be able to provide, hydrogen energy or nuclear energy or any one of their sustainable energy sources. And it's just so confounding because in Canada, where we are blessed beyond measure to live in a place with the amount of natural resources we have, the availability of our natural resources, the affordability of our natural resources, that we would still be chasing this net zero pipe dream. Because if you enjoy a certain quality of life in Canada, okay, if you like heating your home in the winter, like if you like staying warm in the winter, if you like fueling your vehicle and going wherever you want to go, whenever you want, by all means, feel free to buck this net zero trend. But that we are still so focused on it, a scam, the climate scam, and that Brookfield is being, well, Brookfield is making all of the profit off of these green scams. I think that we should have a couple questions for the federal government.
Yeah, and let's talk about the steel tariffs. A liquefied natural gas port with a tank farm, because you'd need a tank farm there.
Mhm.
We're going to build that when we are currently making steel and steel working so expensive that it doesn't make economic sense for a
Right?
private company to do these things. The last
It
thing I
doesn't
want is
make
the government to build this,
girl,
because we
exactly
saw
that.
we saw what happened when the government built a pipeline, 800% over budget, years late.
Oh.
And
And now we're walking into nuclear agreements, Brookfield linked nuclear agreements that started off at around $8 billion. Guess what that's going to balloon to as soon as the federal government gets involved?
Why is the
And that's
federal
for
government
one,
involved?
that cost us for one prototype. And we need 10. We need 10 to replace coal in Saskatchewan. So the cost of the development of nuclear is just so prohibitive. The people of Canada are going to be paying for it forever. Meanwhile, right under our feet, we have coal, natural resources, super easy to mine. We've been doing it for 100 years.
Yep.
And they would phase that out. They would phase that super affordable, super available, super reliable energy source to shuffle in these initiatives, these green initiatives that absolutely make no sense. It's wild.
And just to put into context how badly bunged up energy export is in Canada. And again, Lisa's right to point out, the world's third largest proven oil reserves. Our gas reserves are enormous. We could be the Saudi Arabia of coal if Alberta could just get our coal mines back online. But the NDP and Trudeau, they were in charge for a while. So here we are. Now,
Well, they destroyed it inside. They destroyed an entire
inside of 4
energy
years.
sector inside of 4 years. 100-year-old energy sector inside of 4 years. That's what they were able to do.
Yeah.
And so we must ask ourselves, are we willing to keep our product in the ground and not benefit us
Stranding the asset. Yeah.
for a more complicated, infinitely more expensive and unreliable fuel source?
Right.
Are we willing to do that in Canada where it gets to -40 in the winter? I would argue not. I would argue that that's a terrible plan. And whoever says yes to this should be fired.
Also, our provinces have a fiduciary duty to exploit these resources because, save for freehold mineral rights owners, there's a few of them out there, the provinces are in care and control of the resources owned by the citizens of Alberta and Saskatchewan. And it is their job to maximize the value of those resources. And leaving them in the ground does not do that.
That's exactly right.
But to point out the absurdity of the supply chain for Canadian resources to get to market, well, we have Poland's ambassador to Canada saying the quiet part out loud, pointing out that Canadian natural gas goes to the US at a massive discount. Why? No market access. When you have one customer, that's a monopoly. And so they can buy it for basically whatever they feel like. And then because they have export capacity, they have those terminals we don't have, then they sell it to Poland so Poland doesn't have to buy Putin's gas from Gazprom.
They literally just repackage it. They repackage it and send it off to Europe. Yes.
We have a pipeline, they got the port. So anyways, let's watch this. We should be deeply embarrassed as a allegedly mature grown-up country that this is what we have to do.
Our former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau kind of famously said there was no business case to sell Canadian LNG to Europe. Well, when you look at what the Americans are doing, they sent 44 million tons of LNG to Europe last year. They're obviously seeing a business case for what they're producing.
That's a very
Is Poland
Polish-looking
interested
man.
in Canada's natural resources and LNG in particular? Is that something that you would like to see advance as these two countries get closer together?
Yeah. Well, remember, some of that LNG that is coming from United States to Europe, to Poland, is also Canadian LNG. But it's being sold for a much higher price, I would say, than when it would come from Canada. Yes, we are constantly interested. We would like the Canadian LNG market to open to Europe. We would like to see the Canadian gas flowing to the east coast on Canada, and the Canadian gas flowing in European pipelines. This is, one of the energy topics that we are working on with Canadians for a number of years. There are others which are also very significant, and we are much more successful in the other areas than gas so far. But if you're able to make a push in that regard, that will be to the benefit of Europe, and that will be to the benefit of Canada.
So there you have it.
What is what is the point not to do this? Like, the Liberals won't shut up about Putin. Okay, I would love Europe to be off of Gazprom then.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Like they won't shut up about Putin. Okay. Then why are you landlocking Canadian liquefied natural gas, which could go directly to Europe and then disentangle European economies from the Russian economy?
That's exactly right. And Europe has had such a terrible time with energy security. Really, really, they have. They dove headfirst into net zero green initiatives, right? They shut down their coal plants. They lit them on fire. They were never, ever, ever going to use them again. They were so committed to this net zero garbage that they shot themselves in the foot, because not only did they experience widespread um, energy what is the word I'm looking for? Like energy lapses with
Oh,
brownouts, with
energy
people.
poverty.
Thank you. Thank you. That was the word I was searching for.
Yeah.
Babe, that was it. And they've experienced widespread energy poverty. And so it looks like Poland and other countries are interested in keeping their people warm throughout the long, dark winter too. And they're saying to Canada, send it to us. We could use it and we would be a good customer to you. So
Not
it's
just send it to us, but send it to us directly.
direct, right? Without the markup from the United States, like the
Yeah.
processing fee from the United. That's sort of what's happening is our raw product is going to the United States, getting repackaged, and then the United States is charging Europe a processing fee. And you know
Yeah.
what? Fair enough. We're using their infrastructure.
Sure.
We're using their ports. There has to be a little bit of give and take in that situation. But there is a market for it, and we could be supplying Europe with all of our LNG. But because we have a liberal government for the last 10
Yeah.
years, that is the reason we are not.
Yeah, I'm not angry at the Americans. I appreciate their hustle. I'm angry at the Canadian government, which has landlocked this
Sure.
resource that the world wants. It's not like we're developing a resource and then we're like, oh, I wonder who will buy it once we
Right.
put in all this. They're like, please, if you
Right.
wouldn't mind, could you have sold this to us 10 years ago?
Yeah,
But
and you heard, and another part of that is you didn't hear the ambassador to Poland there say, send us your best experimental small nuclear reactors or small modular reactors. They didn't say send us hydrogen. They said
yeah,
we have a market for your LNG, and that should be the focus of all of our energy output in Canada, instead of this green baloney.
I love a good Eastern European politician because they don't talk about
Oh,
net zero whatsoever. Nothing. They're
just
just like, give us the energy. That's all. We
You-
don't care about the other stuff.
just a little, a little menacing, a little humorless, and I like that kind of politics.
I kind of liked him. He was sort of smirky
Yeah.
about how ridiculous the whole thing was, and he's
Yeah.
right. Now,
Yeah.
you just touched on nuclear. Now, we talked about Saskatchewan's bizarre pursuit of nuclear, even though
Well-
they still have coal in play. So, like, I'm not against nuclear. I just don't like the idea of nuclear unemploying coal miners.
Neither.
I don't think we should be leaving our coal resources in the ground. So,
Nor do I.
now, Alberta's in a different place. So we had Premier Danielle Smith. Maybe we can go to her tweet or post rather. She says nuclear energy is Alberta's next frontier.
Yeah.
Okay. She said it means affordable power, reliable supply. Well, wouldn't that be nice? And low emissions see, I don't care about low emissions that strengthen our grid while fueling growth. It means new jobs and opportunities for Alberta workers and communities. While Ottawa pushes policies that weaken our economy, Alberta will lead with solutions that deliver real prosperity and energy security for generations. Alberta kicked off yesterday this thing that we do in Alberta that you guys might want to try in other provinces, and we hold these panels where we get feedback from the public. So they convene experts and then say, like, okay, this is
regular everyday. Yeah, regular everyday Albertans come in and ask your questions, and we will do our best to we want to hear from you. That's what Danielle Smith is. That's her way to go about things, and it's the exact right way.
And she didn't bring in any Brookfield linked companies to push this idea. It's like nuclear law experts, supply chain experts,
Yep.
People who will know about the effect on the grid, our power grid with this stuff.
Yep.
And we're in a different spot than Saskatchewan. So despite the fact that Alberta has 800 years of clean burning coal under our feet, so much so that we really don't tunnel mine, we just strip mine because it's so close to the surface. We don't do that anymore, thanks to Notley, as I pointed out, and her collaboration with the economic vandals in Ottawa. So we've been told to landlock our coal, and such is the case. And because of that and economic uncertainty, the transition to natural gas away from coal didn't happen as quickly as the shutdown of coal happened. And so now we
Right.
don't have capacity on the grid. And so we're frequently faced with the threats of brownouts when it's really cold or really hot, but more often when it's more dangerous, like when it's really cold, we're told don't run your dryer, don't run your hair dryer, avoid extra load capacity because we're trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
And so we could use an extra source of electricity on the grid. And because of these threats of rolling brownouts, we frequently have to buy coal-fired electricity at a premium from our friends in Saskatchewan, thank you very much, but also Wyoming and Montana. So we actually never ever got away from coal-fired electricity per se. We just got away from coal-fired electricity jobs in Alberta. We gave the jobs to other
Yes.
people. And
Yeah.
so
And
if nuclear could fix that, I'm not against that. But in my fantasy football, as I said on our decompression phone call yesterday, I would like Danielle Smith to just come out and say, fire up the coal mines. But I don't think I'll ever hear that.
well, maybe in the new country, Sheila Gunn Reid, we will declare that carbon is a friend, not a foe, and is not something that we are going to demonize and vilify in terms of our energy production. And one of the things that we have to talk about before we start exploring nuclear as Western Canadians is the displacement of other energy producers and the culture that they create. Because,
Right.
for instance, in Southeast Saskatchewan, all of their minor sports teams are called, the coal miners, or
Sure.
it is literally a part of the culture where that coal is created. There's generations of people that work in coal mines in both Saskatchewan and Alberta, and we must talk about protecting their way of life and protecting their jobs, to be completely honest. And even though they're nuclear is the new darling on the scene, right? It's like, it's gonna solve everything. We're just gonna plop these small nuclear reactors, or small modular reactors, excuse me, around the landscape, and it's just gonna be able to power everything. But what we're not talking about is the safety considerations, are the environmental concerns. Nuclear technology is not inherently safe. And as it pertains to small modular reactors, they are completely untested. They don't work anywhere in the world. So we have to look at the balance sheet and say, how much are we willing to invest in a technology that is unproven and has the potential to harm our environment and our culture? We must have this conversation. And it looks as though Danielle Smith is going to do exactly that with Alberta, which is so nice to see. Unlike Saskatchewan, who is now in a marital bed with Brookfield.
Brookfield's Ella Westinghouse. Yeah.
Right? Brookfield via Westinghouse. Actually, yesterday, Sheila, I sent you a screen cap of a post that Sask Power did last year. Do you think I'd be able to find it now in like our app dance of chats? No. But basically it said, we've signed a memorandum of understanding with Westinghouse and Cameco to explore their small modular reactors. What they didn't divulge is Brookfield's influence in that. Brookfield owns 51% of Westinghouse with Cameco. And so why are we accelerating Brookfield's investment portfolio through our province with no oversight? I would just say the potential for overreach and abuse when you involve companies that closely related to the federal government, is just not a risk that I would be willing to take. I'm not willing to shackle the people of Saskatchewan for the next 50 years to a Liberal-backed company that Mark Carney created just before he ran in federal politics. I'm just not. I trust
Yeah.
them that little. I want less Ottawa. Okay, I don't want no part of Ottawa being involved in our nuclear exploration in Saskatchewan. And here we
Yeah.
have Brookfield in bed with the government of Saskatchewan. It is wild.
Yeah, and what are the chances that a small nuclear reactor is built before an LNG export port? Pretty good, I think. Right?
Right. Oh, well, because there's money to be made on the Brookfield side. So of course, like Mark Carney, okay? Mark Carney doing the Westinghouse deal in late 2024, buttoning it up. So purchasing Westinghouse with Cameco with Brookfield, okay?
Yeah.
They did that in late 2024. He only resigned from Brookfield in January of 2025 and then entered federal politics. The way that this stinks, Sheila Gunn Reid, the way that this stinks, nobody thought to themselves, oh, well, maybe that's federal overreach into provincial jurisdiction. Nobody thought that to themselves.
Yeah.
It's truly wild. And I'm sure that there's a rational explanation. Okay, I'm sure that somebody will be able to provide one. But right now, on the surface, it just looks gross.
I just want to, I know we're late for an ad break, but I just want to hit on something that when you talked about the culture of coal mining towns, and so it's so much a part of the community, and it has been for 100 years. I want to tell you a little story about the Sheerness coal mine in Hanna, Alberta, largest employer there. It was a decades, maybe close to a century-old coal mine, all in. And yeah, when the mine closed, they brought in grief counselors. They were worried about suicides. People were underwater on their houses, that kind of thing. And then I want to tell you what people think, oh, like gross, living near a coal mine. That's so gross. Sheerness was beautiful. Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It creates beautiful country. Yeah.
No, the special areas are a beautiful place. And the Sheerness mine resulted in what was called Prairie Oasis. And so the cooling pond for the mine became sort of a place where people went, and it developed into this park, Prairie Oasis Park, because the water was so warm. The fishing was incredible. The boating was excellent. There was a sandy beach there. And this was all built around you can sort of see in the background of the one picture, the mine is sort of way in the right-hand corner. This is the cooling pond.
This could be around Estevan, Saskatchewan. This is what it looks like there. And it is so actually, when the old coal mines were decommissioned, they just go back to nature and they create this incredible landscape in the middle of the prairie, right? The middle of the flat, the flat Saskatchewan
I have to tell another
prairie.
Story. Yeah.
It's just, it just creates the most beautiful, beautiful landscape. And these are communities that are deeply entrenched in their way of life. And by phasing out their economic opportunity, you're phasing them out of that area forever. And so we must consider those families, and we must consider those coal miners before we go nuclear. 10 toes in for nuclear. Yeah.
One more story I have to tell. So if you are from Edmonton or the Edmonton area, you know about Sunridge Ski Hill and Rundle Park. So Rundle Park is this sort of park, you can frisbee, golf, there's all kinds of stuff down there. And there's a swimming pool and bike trails. And it's sort of just on the eastern edge of the city. It's into the river valley. And the Sunridge Ski Hill is on the other side, sort of on the Sherwood Park side. Well, Beverly, which is the community that's there, used to be its own existing town many years ago. But you can still see remnants of it in the little coal miners' cottages that still stand. They're just it's just an older community now, but a lot of them were coal miners' houses. The Rundle Park itself is built on top of the old coal mine. But once the coal mine was decommissioned, then it became the dump for Edmonton.
Right.
They filled it with
A landfill,
garbage.
sure.
They filled it with garbage, and then they built a park on top of it, and nobody knows it's there. Nobody knows that history unless you're just like some sort of quirky Alberta encyclopedia like I am. But these are parts of our heritage, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not gross.
No.
It's part now on the river
there's-
valley.
True story. And there actually, we have a chat that relates to this. Shall we read it now?
Yeah, let's do her. It's from P. Schofield, $5, regular viewer of the show, regular donor, says, I think that in the new country, I love that phrase, in the new country, Alberta would be able to negotiate very favorable transport and port rates with the U.S. Also, I'd like Smith to concentrate on coal rather than new nuclear. Me too. I would love her to say, you know what? Fire up the coal mines. Forget it. Forget this early coal phase out. There's no reason to landlock 800 years of some of the cleanest burning coal on the face of the earth in the ground, especially when we have the state-of-the-art scrubber technology to make sure that particulate doesn't end up in the atmosphere. Some of the best air conditions in the province, and you can check this online because we have the air quality monitoring stations. They're in places where the coal mines are.
Right.
Like Genesee, you know?
So it isn't a sector that's dirty or harmful or in any way gonna hurt anybody in the community where these things work. And Alberta does have an opportunity. I mean, it's always within the realm of possibility to explore recommissioning the coal mines, even though they took them offline. They would require some retrofitting and some upgrading, but there's no reason why Alberta can't explore coal anymore. And listen, if the people of Alberta want this, you are so lucky to have a premier who will listen to you. And so by all means, show up at these panels and tell Danielle Smith, we'd like to explore the possibility of recommissioning our coal mines.
Right.
Same goes for Saskatchewan. If you live in coal country in Saskatchewan, you should be telling Premier Scott Moe, the government of Saskatchewan, and especially Sask Power, okay? You should be telling Sask Power that you want to see coal be mined in Saskatchewan forever and ever. And any nuclear that we decide to put on our base load is not going to. There should be protections in place for existing energy producers before nuclear comes in. So
I'm for nuclear. Bring on the nuclear when the coal is gone.
Bring in the nuclear where coal doesn't exist, where it's not going to threaten the culture or the economic drivers of a certain region. Do that. Bring nuclear on. Brookfield exempt. Okay, I don't want nothing to do with Brookfield nuclear. Nothing. Mile wide. 3,400 miles between me and Brookfield nuclear. Thank you very much.
Yep.
But if you want to use it for whether it's medical imaging, whether it's for energy production,
fueling a refinery. Let's do it.
Sure.
Yep.
Absolutely yes. But there has to be conditions on it. It just can't be full out. Oh, we're just going to shovel money at this and hope it goes well. We've had enough situations like that in Canada where projects go right off the rails, and we learn our lesson the hard way by paying for these things forever, and they don't work.
Trans Mountain.
Right.
Okay, let's hit an ad break before I come up with another Alberta-based anecdote. So let's hit an ad break, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you how you can celebrate all of our birthdays together.
Do you agree with me? It is time to make Canada great again. And that is why we at Rebel News have teamed up with MCGA hats to introduce, the fashion sensation of 2025. Oh, and by the way, these beautiful hats, they are made in Canada. We don't rely on cheap imports coming over from China. So what are you waiting for, folks? Show your pride. This is the perfect thing for a patriot to wear, or maybe there's a patriot in your life that you would like to gift such a hat. Please go to mcgahats.ca. That's mcgahats.ca. Don't be shy about it. Wear this cap. Let everybody know you want to make Canada great again.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.
All right, couple of things I want to tell everybody about before we get into what's left of the show, and we are rapidly running out of runway on what's left of the show. Couple of things. Housekeeping stuff, I probably should have mentioned this off the top so you guys could have taken advantage of it, but the time, there's still time. We just launched premium memberships on X, Locals, and now on YouTube. It's a great way to support Rebel News and get exclusive access to perks right inside the apps that you already use, like YouTube. On YouTube, $4.99 a month gets access to custom emojis. We should have an emoji of the day, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Right?
I
Loyalty
love me a
badges.
good, I love me a good emoji. I love it.
Okay, I know you
love
do.
your emoji, yeah.
So maybe let's scheme on that and see if we
Okay.
can, we'll do like maybe a emoji of the day.
Okay.
And access to members only live chats. For $8.99, you'll also unlock Rebel News Plus shows and documentaries. But fair warning, YouTube, as you know, I threaten this almost every day, could yank that option anytime if they decide once again to demonetize us for God knows what, God knows why, maybe just being a little too truthy. That's why we always recommend subscribing directly at rebelnewsplus.com. There, it's only $8 a month. Cheaper, of course, if you go annually. Plus, you get ad-free viewing, commenting, and even the chance to submit some op-eds. So whether it's on YouTube, X, Locals, or rebelnewsplus.com, thank you for helping keep us fearless, independent, and keeping our journalism alive and free of political meddling at the hands of the state. So that's one of the things that I would invite you guys to take advantage of this and let us know in the chats. Would you like us to encourage an emoji of the day so that we can sort of involve you guys in some fun stuff? And one more thing before we move on, and that is our Rebel News birthday party. It is quickly approaching.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm gearing up. I'm already gearing up.
I know. I think we need a trip to the craft store. You need a fan and a fascinator, I believe.
I was thinking one of those vintage cigarette holders, like those really
Yes,
long
long
8-inch
ones.
vintage
You need
cigarette
gloves.
holders. Oh man, I just need all that. You know what? I just feel like this is gonna be the night where we overdo it, Sheila, Gunn, Reid, where we are known for overdoing it,
Definitely.
on the regular. But this is just gonna be
Yeah.
New Year's Eve kind of overdoing it. This is our Met Gala. This is gonna be
Yes.
our Met Gala. We're treating it like that. This is the one night of the
Rebel
year.
prom.
Ooh,
10 years in the
Yes.
making. If you want
Yeah.
to join us to celebrate our birthday party, our 10th birthday actually passed back in February, but as you know, there was a lot going on in the political realm in this country. Trudeau stepping down, trade tariff mania, then Mark Carney, and we just sort of kept putting it off until we thought we just can't anymore. So we have decided to celebrate our birthday party, one in Calgary on September 18th, and then one in Toronto, I believe, on October 16th. And you can find out more at happybirthdayrebel.com. There you can join us for drinks, music. In Calgary, our musical guest is Tamara Leach. All of your favorite rebels will be there, including myself and Lise. Look how happy Ezra is. Look at that.
He's just such
so
a
happy
happy
to
guy.
celebrate with you.
Happy little warrior.
And there's another tier. So if you want to have a special VIP dinner with us, then you can find out more about tickets to that at happybirthdayrebel.com. But I got to tell you, the tickets are quickly selling out in Calgary. So if you are considering joining us in Calgary, I suggest you make up your mind very quickly because those tickets are disappearing fast. And I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Can't
All
wait.
right. I think that's everything that I needed to sort of get out of the way. Lise, what do you want to talk about? Immigration or crime?
Immigration.
Yeah, let's talk about immigration because it's in the headline.
Yeah.
Is this is an ex post from Poilievre talking about a Canada First immigration and refugee system, which should only invite the right people in the right numbers so our jobs, healthcare, and housing can catch up. And that's how it used to be, by the way, under Stephen Harper.
Yeah.
It feels so far ago. Instead, the Liberals' radical open border policies broke Canada's immigration system and made all these problems worse, which isn't fair to anyone. He's promised to fix it, but actually I saw today that he's going to blow past any of the previous immigration numbers that were there.
It is just wild. Yep.
So temporary foreign workers, the promised cap was at 82,000. Why do we even have 82,000? These are jobs that could be done by Canadian kids.
That's right. Entry-level jobs. Yes.
Issued 105,000 so far. International mobility programs promise cap at 285,000, admitted 302,000 in the first 6 months. Canada faces the lowest youth employment, which on the flip side is the highest youth unemployment rate since 1998. And the Liberals are on track to issue the most temporary foreign worker visas in a single year. Our asylum system is facing collapse with a nearly 3,000% increase in the backlog since 2015. Wait times for hearings have already been stretched beyond 4 years. That's enough for the anchor baby to start preschool with these people.
Right.
These new numbers mean more delays, turning Canada's asylum process into a waiting room of broken promises. My God in heaven, this is a disaster.
It's definitely a recipe for one Sheila Gunn Reid, because in bringing hundreds of thousands of people into the country with our socialized healthcare, right? Like that they are displacing young people in the jobs market is one thing, but that they are contributing to our housing crisis in the nation, that they're contributing to our healthcare collapse in the nation, that you know, children that come to Canada have a right to education, and our schools are absolutely packed to the gills with the children of people that have come over recently. It is such a disservice to the people that live here, and yet we are being forced to pay for all of it. And so it's this is just a real fascinating thing to watch, because in the lead up to the election, again, I know I'm going to sound like a little bit of a broken record as it pertains to Pierre Poilievre, but I am so delighted to hear him sound like an actual conservative. His gag has been taken off. Okay. He got let off his leashes, and he's tackling some of these things that were problematic in the lead up to the election. Immigration definitely being one of them, in a more practical way. It's like he learned a couple lessons in his walk in the desert,
Yeah. I think, as Rupa Subramanya points out, and we'll get to that in a second.
Rupa.
I love saying Rupa's name. She's got the funnest name to say.
Just roll it.
But she's
ours.
Rupa Subramanya. She's pointed out the vast change, but it should be noted that the population of Regina is like 250,000 roughly, about that.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So we're bringing in like a Regina plus 100,000 just in temporary foreign workers and people who are part of the workforce mobility program, or whatever they're calling, whatever program they're using to displace Canadian workers.
Yeah, and that it just has devastating consequences to actual Canadians that are living on the fringes and just hanging on. We have Canadians that aren't affording groceries, are hardly affording rent, and when they do get forced out of the rental market, I mean, we're seeing old ladies being forced to live on the streets. This is a reality for Canadians. I know that I've told the story again, but I just want to tell it one more time because it was just so shocking and telling. But in Victoria, British Columbia, we experienced a woman on the street. She had to have been in her 70s. She had to have been over 70 years old and was homeless for 2 weeks. Imagine that. Imagine your grandma, okay? Imagine your grandma's social housing being delivered to a new Canadian because the priority was put on the new Canadian other than your grandma. This is the reality of what's happening in Canada. This is the families and children homeless to make way for these to make way for these new asylum seekers or refugees or temporary foreign workers or whatever program they work under. This is having devastating consequences on the people of Canada, and it must stop. Good for Pierre Poilievre for putting his foot down in this moment. We need a true leader as it pertains to this issue, and it looks like we got one in him. Now tackle gender, Pierre. Okay, let's start talking about gender the same way as we're talking about immigration.
Yeah, we've got this clip from Rupa. It's a little bit long, but I think it shows the evolution of Poilievre. And so Rupa says, in 2 years, Poilievre went from pledging faster immigration, processing for cooks. That's the evolution of Tim Hortons, I guess. And boosting economic immigration, to offering study loans and big, powerful, inflation-proof paychecks for newcomers. Now he's pushing depopulation. Has anyone asked him what changed? I guess, I mean,
the election changed. The election would have changed him because they would have done a real deep analysis on what exactly went wrong in those last 6 weeks, and his stance on immigration wasn't keeping up to the opinion of Canadians.
But not just that, but not keeping up to the basic economic understanding of supply and demand.
Right.
There, you can't oversupply the labor market and not think that it would create unemployment for the people that are already here. You cannot oversupply the patient market and think that it wouldn't put a burden on the healthcare system, or oversupply people who need housing and think that it wouldn't damage the housing market.
Sure. These things should have been considered at the outset, but at the coming out of COVID, where we had entry-level workers being able to access CERB, for instance, right? Like we had entry-level workers, we had teenagers that were able to access CERB, suddenly with thousands of dollars of Canadian taxpayer dollars in their pockets, and there was no incentive for them to get back to work. So then we had this little glut in the employment market where we did need to fill some spots, right? Where we had to wait for the CERB money to run out and for these people to get back to work. But then it was abused in such a humongous way by the Liberal Party of Canada and the federal government, and they have not stopped the fire hose of people coming into the country. You know what I mean? Like, at what point are we going to see a complete moratorium and a reversal on immigration issues in Canada? Because now that we can talk about it publicly without being called, all of the names, we certainly have to do that. Like, we have to get a handle on this. And I think along with radical gender, if Pierre Poilievre keeps on this track with immigration, I do believe that that's his pathway to win, because it's just such a common sense, popular thing to be able to remark upon right now. We will fix this for you guys. I mean, Canadians would be delighted. Yeah.
Except for the Toronto area boomers who vote Liberal, don't write me letters, and who bought their multi-million-dollar home for a couple of wooden nickels and a bag of cans.
like 16 grand in 1979.
Let's watch a little bit of that clip from Rupa that she dug up. Poilievre talking to ethnic media And obviously it's saying exactly what they wanted to hear. But I
Is this
think
gonna hurt? This might hurt. Okay, I'll just
you know
prepare
what
myself.
though? Just know that this man sitting before us has been absolutely mugged by reality.
That's true.
And that is something that his predecessors were not willing to do, and that was change their opinions on things. They were willing to ride the crazy train to the bottom of the cliff, and he is not.
Yeah.
So there's 2.6 million people waiting for their immigration applications to be processed.
Yes.
1.2 million are past the service standard. This is a staggering number, and it's incredible because Trudeau's spending vastly more money on bureaucrats to process all of this, but it's not getting done. And we need to get the government producing and performing again, incentivize the public servants to rapidly process these applications, because right now we have businesses that can't get workers. I visited with A1 Trusses yesterday. They're a Vancouver area company that build trusses for homes. I don't know if you know of the company.
For a long time,
Yeah, and
very reputed.
Their problem is they can't get enough workers, so they can't keep up with the demand. That means housing is more expensive. You need.
Okay.
Or were they saying that they wouldn't hire Canadian workers because they couldn't get the 30% wage subsidy?
Bingo.
Yeah, I think that more has to do with it, because I mean, the incentives for employers to hire temporary foreign workers are so great that they will just do anything not to hire actual Canadians. Anything. They get 30% on every dollar that those employees take home. It is wild. It is actually crazy. Guess who's paying for that, Canada? You are. You are.
Yeah. I see that somebody, like, the numbers are here for us that we can look at just real quick. It's called LMIA stats. Now, LMIA is a program by which the temporary foreign workers are coming into this country just to displace the jobs.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure how the companies make the case for why they shouldn't have to employ Canadian teenagers working in the like going to school and taking mechanics and auto body.
Sure.
Why those kids would be a bad choice to work at the Mr. Lube or the Lubex versus the temporary foreign workers these companies are hiring. Ask yourself when the last time you had a kid, like a Canadian teenager, change your oil. Think about it. Anyway, so LMI is the Labor Market Impact Assessment, and Canadian employers need to prove that they require a foreign worker to fill a job and that no Canadian or a permanent resident is available for the position, which is absolute garbage. But if you look at the LMIA stats, these are the labor market assessments. Year to date approved 103,000, up nearly 15,000 from the year before. Year to date approved positions, 229,000.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Look at how much
That's
it's
the
gone
population.
up quarter one.
That's the population of
Saskatoon.
all of Regina. That's right.
Yeah.
That's not nothing. And our friend Dave popped this into our chat with a couple of examples of Regina employers that are advertising on this website. So a painter, $17 an hour. Hotel maintenance helper, 17. This is for Delta hotels, right? Like a humongous Delta hotels can't find somebody to do regular maintenance. I guess not. A retail supervisor for mobile, $21 to $22 an hour in Regina. And then like Chinatown restaurant, actually they do have the best chicken balls in all of the city of Regina. Everybody knows it. Okay, everybody knows it. But they're looking at hiring.
Yeah, you can't hire someone to work at the gas station? Are you
true
crazy?
Story. Yeah. This like it's actually they can't find a painter. They can't find a painter in Canada.
No.
A painter? Like, it's just wild and off the hook. And obviously, we got to get a handle on this because it's not serving Canada, it's not serving Canadians, and it's definitely not serving our young people.
No, it's just crazy. Dave is an information machine
He's the
inside,
best.
yeah,
I
inside the
like it.
cogs of Rebel News. Let's talk about this one thing before we get to the chats, because I have something to finish before I talk to you again later. I think this builds on your story of the grandma that you met in Victoria, I think it was.
Victoria, yeah.
Yeah. So this is from Blacklocks. If you could bring that up, Olivia, please. They admit shelter use unknown. Illegal immigrants and refugee claimants occupy more than a tenth of the beds in homeless shelters, says a memo to Housing Minister Gregor Robertson. I think it's more in places like Montreal and Toronto.
Yeah.
Actual figures are likely higher, but unverifiable due to the refusal of sanctuary cities. Give me a break. I think actually Edmonton's one. Sanctuary cities like Vancouver to keep records on foreigners without permits, said the document. Immigrants, settled refugees, and asylum claimants are more likely to access family shelters compared to Canadian citizens. And this is why there was a grandma sleeping on the street.
Well, I mean, there is to suggest that an over 70-year-old woman should be housed in a shelter with people with compounding mental illness and addictions issues, right? Which is often the case with people that find themselves in a housing shortage or homeless. It is a coping mechanism. Okay, addictions, and then they spiral into mental illness, or mental illness first, and then they spiral into addictions. That is probably one of the most unsafe places for a senior woman to be. How is she going to defend herself? It says something when an over 70-year-old woman, when the safest place for her to be is on the streets, pushing all of her possessions in a shopping cart. Like that is an indictment on Canada and the abject failure of our federal government. None of our old people should be pushed out of their housing, or out of their services, or out of their health care, or out of their comfort. Listen, our old people built this place, and we should be honoring them in the highest. And yet we have a federal government that doesn't care because they are not newcomers.
Yeah. Or Toronto area boomers with their penny whistle and moon pie house. One last thing before we go. This is from Alberta, and not before we go. We'll hit the chats and then we'll go to the Daily Cringe, brought to us by Daily Cringe recidivist, repeat offender, Jagmeet Singh, who just won't go away. Daniel Smith, I'm conflicted on this. Now, I think, it's a great start to the new country when I see this post, but it is also an indictment of how bad the other cities in this country are, because I am a fan of neither of these places. Well, one more so than the other. So Daniel Smith proudly says, Calgary is ranked the best city to live in Canada. You know what? I like Calgary. Their mayor is a lunatic. The people are great. And Edmonton proudly at number 3. Same thing. I feel like the people, you know what? Edmonton's a government city. So you guys are 50-50 to me. You're a very NDP city, and you elected Amarjeet Sohi, Justin Trudeau's former natural resources minister, to be the mayor. So whatever, but as Ralph Klein said, it's a beautiful city with too many socialists and mosquitoes, and that remains truer now than ever. But Daniel Smith says, Albertans don't just live in great cities. We take home the biggest paychecks in the country, averaging $1,356. Now that's average, right? That's low and high end. A week compared to $1,295 nationally. And with no provincial sales tax, a strong economy, and affordable family homes, your bucks go further than ever. Alberta stands apart as the best place to live, work, and raise a family in Canada. Now, as I said, both of these places have their problems as far as municipal governance goes. Hopefully that changes when the municipal elections come along. I see that there are actually some conservative options in both conservative-ish as much as you can
So
be municipally.
yeah, so delighted to see the Conservatives though creating a couple of working groups,
Yeah.
and hopefully they'll be able to make a difference during
Yeah.
Alberta's municipal elections. I'm looking forward to watching.
So again, I say these cities have their own problems, but
Yeah.
they are ranked 3 and 1. And what does that say about the rest of this country?
Oh,
Nothing good.
dismal. Just dismal.
Ain't
Yeah,
nothing
I
good.
wonder where Regina and Saskatoon placed on that. Don't look.
I want to know where
We-
Winnipeg is on that list.
We'll have to like flip pages. Let's see. We're down in the 70s and the 90s. Oh no, keep going. Yeah, Winnipeg. Winnipeg is just gonna
Ottawa.
be
I
dead
want to see
last.
where Ottawa is on that list. All right. Let's go to some of the chats. Oh, here we go. Cicely Bardwell, regular viewer, regular supporter of the show, and just a generous lady. Cicely, I don't know where you are, but you better be coming to one of our birthday parties.
Yes, Cicely, you could be our +1.
Yeah, we want to meet you and thank you in person.
Yeah, we do so.
Gives us $50 and says, I just received an unexpected payment today and I wanted to share. Well, darn, that's so nice of you. Thank you so much.
Honey, thank you. Thanks, babe.
Then we've got Nana Awake, also regular viewer, regular
Just a fave.
donor.
Crowd favorite.
Yep. Also, hopefully we'll see her at a birthday party. It says the first thing we need to do is stop the wage subsidies. Yeah.
Girl.
Then the truth will prove the worker shortage is a scam 90% of the time. Darn right. Oh, Ottawa is ranked number 2 in that survey, by the way, and Hamilton number 5. And Dave goes on to point out the organization behind that survey is very globalist in nature. Well, that explains something to me. Hamilton, the Hammer, really number 5?
Ottawa number 2. Okay.
Anyway, I think those are it for the chats. Yeah, Edmonton's Montreal. Yeah, no, I don't. I want to see one that's like livability, employment rates, tax rates. These is probably judged by how crazy the city council is, which would make sense.
Yeah,
that
like
Edmonton and Calgary are 1 and 3.
Yeah, they probably
Winnipeg is 9. Okay,
please throw that away. Like we know that's baloney now. Okay, you're just trying to. You just made a list of cities that have like the more recycle bins people have on their driveway, the higher the ranking on this list. But we should do our like a rebel best places to live in the country, and it would just be a list of Alberta and Saskatchewan towns and villages.
Kit Scotty, we enjoyed Kit Scotty when we were there.
Outlook, Saskatchewan,
beautiful place,
absolute gem of a place. So
Carlisle, Saskatchewan, couldn't have been happier.
Arcola, Saskatchewan is a place that I could sit down roots. And our viewers would love it. We should actually do that. We'll work on it.
I spent a fair bit of time this past week in beautiful downtown Redverse, Saskatchewan. And
Redverse.
I bought a new cowboy hat when I was there. And I'm a connoisseur of fine cowboy hats. I'll judge you on the crown for sure every time. Okay. But they had a style that I had been searching for. I had not had yet. She gave me a heck of a deal. I bought a couple of t-shirts. We found a great coffee spot. And then the mayor reached out to us, which was surprising.
The craziest set of circumstances possible happened in that situation. Redverse is just a lovely little town. My beauty parlor. Okay, I have a beauty parlor that I go to in Redverse. I don't want to hear. Listen, I don't want to hear it in the comments about my hair. Okay, I don't want to hear it. It's untamable, unmanageable, insane hair that I manage to wrangle up into a bun for you guys every single day. But my beauty lady is in Redverse, Saskatchewan, and I'm a big fan of that little town. And I'm so happy that you love it too, Sheila, Gunn, Reid. I'm so happy that they were good to you. Good.
We'll start ranking our best places to live on the prairies.
Yeah,
let's do that next year.
Okay, deal.
Okay, we'll spend our summers
Consider it
doing
done.
that. Daily Cringe, recidivist, of course, as I said. Jagmeet Singh. He is back at her. I haven't watched this yet, so you're going to get my raw, unfiltered opinion. of Jagmeet Singh?
Do it.
Let's all venture into the darkness together.
Let her rip.
Like this.
No.
What's your name? Green. Like this.
Why?
What's your name?
It's almost like he's showing us how he defeated the NDP as an actual party. Look, he just did this over and over and over until the NDP hardly ceased to exist. But I do.
This is like him punching the more reasonable people in the NDP in the face, like Wab Canoe, Thomas Mulcair. Like, it's just like anybody who tried to get him to listen to reason.
Isn't
This
it
is him.
cringe?
That's
It's
him
so
punching our
cringe.
economy in the face.
But you know, what else does he have to do? Like, it does look like Jagmeet Singh has fallen into somewhat of a little bit of a social media addiction because he doesn't have anything else to do. Okay, there he is, cashing his pension checks, courtesy of you and I. Okay, courtesy of you and I, guys, and making dumbass, excuse me,
TikToks?
dumb, silly TikToks. This, don't, I don't.
No.
I don't want to watch. Listen, I'm still so mad at this guy for being responsible for this mess that we're currently in, because if Jagmeet Singh had any balls whatsoever, any testicular fortitude whatsoever, we would not be in this mess that we are in today. I can't look at the man without getting violently. Stop it.
No,
Can't.
no. Oh, look at him just living his best life while he leaves the country in financial ruin and helped reward the people who did it.
Yeah, we could have been out of this mess, you know, a good year ago if Jagmeet Singh had any scruples whatsoever. We know that he does not. But that won't stop us from talking about him on the Daily Cringe. He's one of our frequent targets here on the show, and he deserves every bit of bad feedback he gets for the rest of his miserable long life.
This is one of those times where I wish I was drinking out of an actual oil filter instead of just a coffee cup shaped one. God, he's awful.
Me too.
Yeah.
I wish that this wasn't water. I wish that this was a clear liqueur.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's the show for today. Tomorrow is the Buffalo panel, Western Wednesdays here on Rebel Roundup. So we'll have myself, my beloved friend Lise, and two Westerners to break down Western issues. But if you're from the East, don't worry, that's only for the first part of the show. But also, maybe you should watch, because you'll understand why we're so disgruntled, why our gruntles have left. They're
Just
gone.
consider-
We don't
yeah.
have them anymore.
Yeah, consider it just like a cultural exchange. You're
Right.
just being immersed in Western culture just for a couple minutes, and then you can go back to your life in the East. Oh no, we'd love to have the Eastern viewers listen in. The more we understand ourselves, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, the media doesn't want us talking to each other and hearing what our own problems are.
Too bad.
That's not what we do around here. All right, I think that's the show for today. Thank you so much for my good friend Lise for jumping on the stream with me for the second day in a row to break down the news of the day. Thanks, buddy.
Well, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time.
Yes. Livia and everybody else, Dave especially.
Yeah, Dave.
Works behind the scenes to help us do the news and have all the information we need so that we don't sound like idiots. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who do the completely free thing of engaging with the show. Leave us a thumbs up, leave a chat, like an unpaid chat, share the stream with people who you think need to see it. That, you know, the more our content is engaged with, the more YouTube and Rumble and the mighty algorithms serve it up in front of more eyeballs. So that really helps us a lot. And for those of you who pitch in to keep the lights on here at Rebel News, Cicely, you know who you are. Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate you choosing us. And until tomorrow, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.
Also asking for, hoping to get some clarity on your government's position on trade with the United States following your Friday announcement. So this morning you talked about how you're seeking areas of cooperation in 5 areas. You listed critical minerals, autos, steel, aluminum, copper. What does that cooperation look like, and how is that different from what your government was trying to achieve ahead of that August 1st deadline?
So So just to be, the way I'd frame it, Mr. Curry, is this way, which is that, again, what I was saying c'était en français ce matin également, right? It was in French. So what I said was 85% of our trade is free trade. At present, we have the best deal, et cetera. You know that point. There are 5 areas where that is not the case, and those are in strategic sectors for the Americans: aluminum, steel, autos, copper. They happen to have a specific on copper, and then, of course, lumber, softwood lumber, which has been an issue. So those are the areas where immediately we are focused on improving the outcomes, if we can. And in order to do that, and this is what I said on Friday, in order to do that, we will have to look at other areas where we can have win-win cooperation, other areas. Now, so it's not, it's an isolation of the set of issues around there, around those strategic sectors for the American. And all of this in the context, as you know, of an upcoming review on CUSMA that will start next year, but in effect, we're beginning to prepare for it now, and I would expect the Americans to be doing the same. So it's within that context we have both a broader partnership if we can negotiate that and find win-win opportunities that trade off against the two, which is what we're working hard at. And I'll finish by observing that Minister LeBlanc and my chief of staff are, as we speak, in Washington with colleagues having those discussions with their American counterparts.